talk to you a little bit about the programme in London next summer. So it was a nice picture of grey London there. There'll be lots of pictures of grey London, maybe a little bit of sunshine. So that's me. And as I said, I'm the director of CIE in London. And the other picture you can see is Trafalgar Square with the National Gallery in the background. And you'll note I put all different kinds of weather in this. I'm going to talk about the weather a little bit. We've got some nice fluffy clouds. We see lots of those here. So some reasons to come to London. The city is obviously the reason most people come to London, with a population of nearly 9 million people, over 300 languages, and there's food, people and culture from all over the world. So there really is, it's one of the few places you can really say there's never a dull moment, but really a really exciting city. I've lived here for about 30 years, and there's still places I get lost and still new things to discover. It's constantly changing. In spite of being such a big metropolis, there's lots of green space in London. There's over 3,000 parks. Our biggest parks, Hyde Park and Regent's Park, are certainly places we visit on these on our summer programmes. We often have picnics or dinner and party games. The course is about theatre, so you obviously want to know about theatre. Possibly, when I wrote this, I thought maybe I'd say arguably the centre for theatre in the world. I kind of still think that's the case, but certainly a major centre for theatre. And everything from big West End productions that you might have heard of to small fringe theatres and everything in between. Some of it publicly funded theatre that we get in the UK. And the course will take you to a globe, to West End productions as well. And obviously history. London has a huge history, going back to Roman times, Old Londinium. There's bits of Roman wall next to medieval street plans, which have brand new modern big skyscrapers built on them. So there's a wide range of things, all of which we'll introduce you to when you're here. So why you'll love the course and the programme. The programme's taught in small groups of students. So there's one programme leader for every 10 students. We usually have about 22 on this programme, so it's quite small. We do lots of hands-on activities. We do lots of trips to backstage tours of theatres. So you get a range of theatrical experiences, not just going to the theatre, but learning about the production, looking at the text and thinking about how it's performed and how it's put on stage. There's lots of excursions and activities built into the class. So very often you'll be in class in the morning and in the afternoon you might go on a site visit or have a workshop with an actor. If we can, we try and get somebody who's in one of the plays that you're in to come in and work with you, or a producer might come in. So it's really is, our aim is kind of total immersion. And one of the things that you'll do as part of the course is write and produce a short play. So you'll have some time as well to work on that in groups. So these are just some of the places that we go. The list was too long. We go to historical and cultural sites, obviously. There's a picture of Shakespeare's Globe there, and you'll do a tour of that. We'll do a trip out of London to Stratford-upon-Avon and visit Shakespeare's birthplace and several houses associated with Shakespeare, and see a Shakespeare play at the Royal Shakespeare Company Theatre in Stratford. We eat fish and chips by the river. You have to have some fish and chips. It's a myth that we eat fish and chips all the time. There's lots of food from all over the world here. British food isn't really one of the great world cuisines, but we're very good at adopting other people's. But we usually have fish and chips when we go to Greenwich, along by the river. We go to Hampton Court, which is one of the houses that Henry VIII lived in. And we always give students free time in London markets, and you'll see there, that's Covent Garden Market. Housing. Okay, so you'll live as a group, you'll all be in housing together, and the programme leaders live on site. Rooms will be shared. All of the meals are included in the program, and we'll vary that. Sometimes we'll go out to a local restaurant, sometimes we'll have food at the centre or maybe at the housing. You'll have breakfast every day at the housing. And there'll be activities in the evening as well that we'll do for you. We'll do film nights and other activities around. And of course, many of the nights of the program will be at the theatre. So. And I mentioned the weather earlier. And the short answer, because somebody always asks me what the weather will be like, and I can't even answer what the weather will be like in London next week, because the favourite word of forecasters in London is changeable. And you could see any of these. So it could be boiling, boiling hot, and everyone will say, why don't you have air conditioning in the UK? Nobody has air conditioning in the UK because it's only really hot for about 2 or 3 weeks of the year. Most of the time, you're probably going to get more like the first picture. It's a myth that it rains all the time. It often rains at night, or it rains for 10 minutes and then it goes away. So the middle picture you may never see, or you might just see for a short time. And if you're lucky, you'll get a bit of the third picture, and I'll get some proper sunshine. When the weather's nice in London, the whole of London goes outside, and all those parks I mentioned get full of people, because as soon as we see some sunshine, we all run into it, because we don't get too much. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the COVID conditions at the moment here. We wear face masks indoors in our study centre. We all wear face masks all the time. And on the underground, on public transport in London, it's mandatory to wear face masks. That pictures are the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, travelling on the underground. Social distancing is around 6 feet, 1 or 2 metres, depending on the environment that you're in. Hand sanitizers are everywhere. They're even on the main shopping street, Oxford Street, where all the big shops are, and it's really busy. They've got public hand sanitizers out on the street. Most of the population is vaccinated. We were one of the first countries to have a big vaccination program, and now teenagers are being vaccinated as well. So most over 12s have had at least one, but everyone over 20 has had 2, pretty much. It's like kind of 80–90% of the population. And people are now having their booster jabs. Those of us who are old and had it at the beginning are now having our booster jabs. And obviously we keep you updated. I have regular sheets that I complete with guidance on how to get into the country as that changes, which it seems to every week. And we obviously keep updated on the situation in the UK. So that's my very brief little introduction, because I thought people haven't come to listen to me, and that I hoped you might have some questions. So has anyone been to London before? Could you maybe put the hand up on the... No. Wow, I'm just going to get it so I can see you all. There we are. Now I can see everybody. So sorry, has anybody been to London before? Was that lots of shaking of heads? No? Oh, wow. You've got all the excitement to come then. How exciting never to have been here. It's like somebody's your favorite novel, and you see somebody and they say they've never read it, and you give it to them to read, and they've got that excitement ahead of them. So that's very exciting. Has anyone got any questions?
I had a question regarding on the website. It talks about summer session 1 and summer session 2, and so does that mean that it's just like those are just, it's the same program, just a different date span?
Yeah, so summer session 1 is obviously the first session, and that runs for 3 weeks. Then we have a week gap, and then we basically do the same thing again after 3 weeks. So you could come on ours and then go on one in another city, but you wouldn't do both in London, because you'd be repeating. Make sense? Yeah.
So this is kind of like my second option for like the program. Sorry, I know this isn't, you're offended that this wasn't the first.
I'm heartbroken.
Yeah, but if like something comes up in like the country I'm going to, will this still be like available? Like,
it depends on if it fills up.
Okay.
So obviously, you know, we have capacity, but you need to talk to the folks in the US, but it would depend on if it had filled up or not.
Okay, yeah.
Where's your first choice?
Japan.
Ah, well, I don't think I can compete with that. I'd
Yeah,
love to go
sorry.
to Japan. No, that's okay. That's okay. Any other questions?
I did have a quick question. At what point would the kids actually
Mhm.
know that they are being chosen, or that the application went through officially?
Okay, now that's all dealt with by my colleagues in the States. Rachel, do you know the deadline for?
Yeah, so right now the deadline, if you're applying for a scholarship, is January 14th. If you're not applying for a scholarship and you'd like to confirm your spot now, you are welcome to do that now. Just email our team and at hsabroad@cie.org, and we'd be happy to review the application and accept your spot. However, if you are applying for a scholarship because of that January 14th deadline, we will not be placing students in locations until at least a couple weeks after that. So you'll probably find out your scholarship and your location aiming for middle of February.
So that would bring up another question I had. We did apply for the scholarship, but just to see, right? I don't want to prevent her from going just because of a scholarship application. We could find other ways to make it happen, basically. But of course, a scholarship would be nice at the end. So is there a disadvantage of applying for a scholarship versus just saying, I want to go regardless?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's a disadvantage, but if it's something that you can, in fact, pay in full for, do you know if you applied for the merit and need or just the merit only scholarship?
I think we ended up going with both. But
Okay.
I think the merit one is more heavily weighed than the needs. Let's put it this way.
Yeah. So if you change your mind and just want to do the merit only, we do have a process called merit expedited. So you can still be considered for the merit scholarship, but confirm your spot now.
Okay. Yeah, because I would hate for her not to get a spot just because of that. Because again, we have other avenues to make that work for her to go. So, okay.
Right.
So just go
Yeah.
into the application and change that to merit only, and then just send you guys an email saying we would like to confirm regardless of what the outcome is of the scholarship.
Yep, exactly. And then we can walk through the process for expediting
Okay.
that application. Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Katie, I see a hand up.
Yeah, I have a question about like the two different types of like applications, because I already filled out my main application for London, and then I also finished my scholarship application. And on that one, they make you rank. Now, for example, like I also ranked Denmark as one of my options. Do I now need to fill out a completely other application for specifically Denmark to be considered?
I'll go back to
No.
Rachel.
No, you don't. The program choice options are for us essentially when we're reviewing the scholarship applications and placing students and awarding the scholarships. If your first choice is full or we have a lot of applications, so for instance, Japan will have a lot of applications that is entirely possible, highly likely, that will fill. And so we will have to give some students their second or their third choice. You do not need to open a second application. If you are accepted to your second or third choice, we'll move your application over to the correct location for you.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. I'm so glad you're here. I've got two Katies. Katie Bauer.
Hi. So this question is two parts. One is, I know from our side of things over here that kind of like a study abroad program, but I didn't know if there were other local students from the UK who also came into this program. So that was the first part of that question.
Mhm.
And then the second part of the question is, can you describe what the living conditions are kind of like, and where the kids are housed, things like that?
Okay, so there won't be any UK students in the class on the programme, but we do aim to provide interaction with local children. So we're trying to work, before we worked with a youth theatre in London, because they haven't reopened yet, but we're hoping to be able to work with them again. And it also depends which group you're in, because the first session happens during the school term in the UK, so children are still at school, and the second one is during the school holidays, so there are kind of like different things open each time. So it might be a school we get the first time, and then a youth group for the second group, so it would depend. So they're not in class, but there is that kind of added on as part of the programme. And housing, again, I'm going to be non-specific, because again, we're coming out of COVID and there are a few options that I'm working on, but it will be shared rooms, it will be central, so it would either be a very short commute or a walk, so walking distance of the centre. I would say that everyone always complains we walk too far, but that's because we're Londoners, so we walk everywhere. So I think that's the only complaint we got was, oh, you made us walk a long way. So it would either be, you know, a 15-20 minute walk, or a bus ride, or a transport pass is included in the programme. And we do take public transport a lot, but public transport in London is one of the things that students always say is amazing. It's very clean and safe. So, and students would get breakfast at their housing. There'll be Wi-Fi. It would obviously be secure. Being obviously in a safe area is our priority. So those are the kind of things we consider. But it would be shared rooms. And the programme leaders live on site with the students. So they usually have 2 programme leaders for the group, and they would live on site. So they would also hold events in the evening. Very often with this programme, perhaps it's a little different with others, but because we do go to the theatre in the evening, you know, everyone goes as a group, and the programme leaders would take the students back. And then sometimes in the evening, we have quite a really lovely centre. We're very lucky in London, and we have outside space. We have our own cafe. We have a lounge and a study and a big room we can show films and things in. So we do quite a lot of activities in the evening there, and then would go back to the housing. That makes sense? Any other questions?
My apologies. I'm going to pick up one more time my question that I had earlier.
Yeah, that's
So
okay.
I went to the website, and I guess the only option I have is just send a message through the message board, right, on the application, because the application itself can't be changed, or the scholarship application, because everything has been submitted.
Right. So if you've submitted it already, you can just email us. You're welcome to do that through the application and the contact us section,
Okay.
which, yes, should give you a couple of drop downs of subject lines. That goes into our team email, or you can just email the team email directly, which is hsabroad@ciee.org, and I'll type that into the chat box as well.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Any other questions? Is there something in chat? You put your email address. Any other questions? So on arrival, obviously we meet you at the airport. We rent a private bus to bring you into the housing. We have food. Everyone's always hungry when they arrive, and everyone's always really tired as well. So we usually do a light meal, take you out for a walk, keep everyone awake. We have lots of activities to keep people awake on the first day. Otherwise, everyone just wants to fall asleep. And then the next day we start with kind of more formal orientation, tell you all about London, tell you our expectations of you, and get to know you a bit. And then class starts, and we kick you off with the theatre and the activities. And it's quite a packed programme. We do try and give some, especially as the students work on a piece of theatre. So certainly in the last week, we give quite a bit of free time to work on that. And we might come around and check in on you and make sure you're kind of going okay. But we do a lot of activities with you, a lot of, you do get a bit of free time. So we might go to Greenwich, say, and you'll have an hour and a half to go around Greenwich Market on your own. So there's sort of places where you'll get a bit of free time. But we do keep everyone moving, because we want to show you all of London. So, and you can't see all of London in 3 weeks because it's so big. So we have to choose the highlights to show you. Any other questions about logistics or what to expect? Don't need to bring smart clothes. Bring walking shoes, because you'll be walking a long way. And then just easy. You don't need to dress up to go to the theatre or anything like that. So you don't need anything too fancy. We're pretty relaxed.
I put a question into the chat about like curfew, things like that. I'm assuming like just can't go errand off on their own. They need to.
There is a curfew. Yes, there's a curfew, which is usually about. Well, it depends on. We sometimes break the curfew when we take you to the theatre. But everyone will go back to the housing, and then you'd be expected to be in rooms sort of 9-10 o'clock. Yeah, but you'll be so tired you won't mind that. That's our aim: keep everyone busy all day, and then.
Is there an age range? I know it's for high school kids, but do you typically have more juniors or seniors, or more freshmen and sophomores in your program?
When we ran it last time, I think probably the average age was about 15. I don't know, Rachel, is there a mean age for the programs?
Sorry, I was on mute. I mean, students, they all have to be high school students, so it's between the ages of 14 and 18. But yeah, I would say more commonly it's 15 to 17.
Any other questions? Hannah, you must have a question.
You
don't have a question,
child, by the way.
I see.
It's my child. She's hiding. Sorry, Hannah, I put you on the spot.
Do you know the musicals or plays that we're going to be seeing?
So there will be musicals, there'll be lots of plays, and I don't know, because we don't know what's on yet next summer. So we'll start sort of looking in January at what's coming up, and some things we'll book quite way in advance, and some things we'll book quite late. So you'll see. I can guarantee you'll see something at the Globe Theatre. You'll see something at Shakespeare's Theatre in Stratford. You'll see something in the West End, so a kind of bigger show, but you'll also see something that might have a really small audience, something at the Royal Court, the National Theatre. We wish you'd go to the National Theatre. So have you heard of War Horse? Have you ever seen that? It was made into a film. So some of those big plays that end up, going up onto Broadway, they start at the National Theatre. It's like it's publicly funded, so it's a really And they have 3 theatres, and it's a really great space. We always go and see something there. So you might see something that ends up being turned into a film by Disney and ends up on Broadway, but you'll have seen the original cast. So that's always exciting.
There's a question in the
Any
chat
other
that I also
questions?
wanted the answer to.
Oh, there's a question. Thank you. I can only see the curfew question in chat. Is there anything else? Katie?
Sorry, it
I'm
might
so-
have been to
oh.
me. So it was
I'm sorry if this was already asked. Oh, no. Oh, there's 2 Katies. That's why.
Sorry, Katie Solis.
I feel like this was already asked, so but I
It's
had to
okay.
walk away for a second. But are we allowed to go see like West End productions on our own free time if we bought the ticket?
Wow, what's happened in the past is we've a group of students have wanted to go, and then the program leader has gone with them. So I think last time we had about 5, maybe 8 students who wanted to see something in the West End, wanted to see a musical, and the program leader went with them, and they we bought the tickets. They bought the tickets as a group, and went as a sort of a subgroup. Does that make sense?
Yep, that makes sense. Thanks.
But we wouldn't really want you coming out to the theatre on your own, making your own way back to the housing late at night. So, but sometimes there are matinees as well. So it may be that a group of you want to go, and we could meet you afterwards or something. So we'll do our best.
So the question was actually, I think it was a DM to me instead of the group, but it's a question for the group, which is like a passion or a deep interest in theater, like a requirement, or if someone's like, hey, I think theater's pretty cool, and like, can a regular run-of-the-mill interest, be okay?
That's a really, really, really good question. And I'm glad you asked it. So it's not just for people who perform. It's not just, some people come on the program who really want to perform, which is great. But there's also quite a lot of, looking at the plays, looking at the text and thinking about how they're performed. And that might bring in kind of other interest areas that you have, depending on what you're looking at. So I think it's not really necessary to have a diction for all aspects of theatre. There'll be lots about London. And I think through going to the plays, you'll also encounter lots of different themes and things as well. I mean, we try not to take you to, 8 plays all about families or something, or 8 plays all about Scotland. So you'll see lots of different things. So I think a general interest is perfect, really. And some people are interested in the set design, some people are interested in the text and writing. And that's why it's nice when students perform a play at the end, because everyone kind of has a different skill, in that group, and we try and actually put together so they work together well. Anything else?
I guess I do have one more question as I was thinking about it. When you asked if we were in London, and I said no, or I didn't answer it, we were in London, but only in the airport, of course.
Oh.
So at some point we were at the London airport, but that brought up a thought. So when the kids come in from all over the place, is there just somebody then, when you guys know when they're coming in, to greet them there and then just take them to the place, I would assume?
Yes, so we meet them at the airport, and then we rent a private bus, and everyone comes in on the private bus. And sometimes people come with their families, a few days early. So sometimes, you know, you might turn up together on the first day and you can meet at the housing. So we'll give 2 options. So you either meet at the airport and we bring you in, and if you're already in London or staying with relatives or something, then you can meet at the housing.
Right. But it's perfectly normal too that kids just fly in for themselves, because like for us, it could be a direct flight from where we are coming from. So we're coming from Charlotte, North Carolina, actually. So she would fly straight into London. She has done that before. So, and then just be picked up by you guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If we don't accompany her.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the program leaders will often travel over on a set flight. So you can always book onto that flight as well.
Right.
And then come with them if that's more
Where are they coming from? Your program leaders?
that we don't know yet.
Okay, got it.
But usually East Coast.
Right. Awesome.
Thank you, Rachel. You were really helpful. I'm glad you were there.
I'm glad I could help for a short period. But yeah, if anyone
Thank
has any
you.
other questions, just email us. And obviously you can stay on. It looks like Katie Solis might have one more for you, Lizzie. And I will hopefully talk to some of you soon about the application.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks. Bye.
Yes, so traveling over is it's you know, it's not the most fun to spend the night on a plane, but it's, you know, we all do it. It's worth it to get here. And you know, as I said before, we're used to dealing with people who are jet lagged, so we understand that everyone wants to go to sleep, but we keep everybody awake so that you kind of get into more of them. We also make you get up early every day, certainly in the first 3 days. Otherwise, nobody ever gets over their jet lag. But you guys are all young, so you're much better at it. It gets harder as you go on. Okay, any other concerns or questions or anything else you'd like to know? Okay, well, I'm going to put my email address in the chat as well. And then if you've got any questions that you know haven't been answered here, or you were too scared to ask, or that crop up later on, you can ask me. And as you'll have realised, the guys in the States deal with all the application stuff, and then over here we deal with, you know, what happens once you've arrived and all the logistics. We get all the fun stuff to do. So any questions about the program or anything, feel free to drop us a line.
So I hear you are actually over in London, right?
I am in London. It says that
Okay.
behind me, but I am. It is 8:30 in the evening for me.
Nice.
So if I'm a bit slow, it's because it's been a long day. But no, I am in London. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
So I'll be meeting everybody when they arrive. So
Awesome.
With my team. So be in safe hands, I promise. Oh, we've got another person appeared.
That's just Dad sneaking in.
He's hiding.
Great.
Well, thank you for coming. It was lovely to meet you all. Hi. And I hope I see you in London next summer.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye.